Hey everyone, Sean here. Just wanted to talk to you today about SDA and SIL. You probably may have heard that acronym's being used quite a bit, and if you're thinking about housing, you're probably like, how does it work in the NDIS space? So it's a quick video just to explain how things work. So in NDIS, people who need house assistance more than just drop-in supports tend to get SIL funding. So SIL stands for Supported Independent Living, and they can have it generally. It could be in their home, could be in a rented property, or it could be in a property that's provided by a provider. Some people that have SIL funding also get SDA funding, which is Specialist Disability Accommodation funding, and there are 4 different categories, and each category has specialist funding for it, depending on the participant's needs. So when people say they want accommodation, usually they have SIL funding and they have SDA. You can't have SDA without SIL, which is the SIL supports. I guess when you are in your own home or have a granny flat and you don't necessarily need an SDA property, that's where NDIS provides you with SIL supports. And then obviously if you need more supports like special modifications, manual handling, then you're able to provide that via the SDA, which is things like robust, high physical needs, things like hoists. So sometimes people come to us and say, hey, I need housing. How do I get housing through the NDIS? We tell them, look, it really depends on the funding. You have to apply to the NDIS organization and talk to them with the LAC. You have to get a OT functional assessment. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. It takes 6 to 12 months generally, and it's not something that's done overnight. And it's really helping someone to be more independent. They could be someone that's living with their parents or living in a shared, a shared arrangement where they're not happy and they want to move out on their own and maybe live with a couple of other people. With SIL itself, there's different levels, I guess, in terms of ratios, and you may hear people say, what is 1 to 1, what is 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and that's basically, it's the number of support workers to participants. So generally in SIL nowadays, the NDIS is funding 1 to 3. Depending on your circumstances, you might be funded for one support worker to 2 participants, or 1 support worker to 3 participants. And I think it's really important to understand that where you're not funded for 1 to 1, it is important to understand that your supports are shared. So, there is something called a ROC, or a roster of care, that's created to be able to help you understand when you are provided with supports. And sometimes you have to wait, and it does become challenging especially if your needs are quite high and you're sharing your supports. I think that's where it's really important to make sure that the OT you have, who is doing the functional assessment report or SIL assessment, understands your needs, and it's really important to emphasize your care needs, because if you don't do that, the NDIS obviously is not able to understand or ascertain really what you need, and then probably will give you the wrong kind of funding, and then you'll have to go back for a change of circumstances. So coming back to the SIL funding, so obviously if you've got a SIL funding, then you're able to stay at your own home or stay at a provider's home or rent your own place and have supports planned around your SIL funding. Obviously, if you can live in a shared house, then that's always better. Well, not always, but it's better if you have the funding for it. Your funding doesn't get run out so quickly. And obviously, if you have SDA funding, then you will be living in a shared house, depending on the ratio. So if you're 1 to 1, then that's not the situation. But if you are 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, then you will have to share your supports. I hope that was really helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let us know, and I can do another video on that. Thank you.